Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to NECC. Oh my goodness, I think that was 3 C's. Rainbow Six Siege Week 7, or Week 6, I think this might be. I've lost count. Numbers are very hard for me, Corbic, but my name is Binks. I'm joined by the wonderful Corbic once again, and we have St. John's University taking on Murray State Gold.
Yeah, we do tonight. And Murray State Gold, they're a mid-tier team. I think we've actually had the opportunity to see
Mhm.
them play before, right? 3-2 overall so far in this season coming into
We
week 6.
actually that has not been updated for this week. It's actually quite interesting. We have a joint
Mhm.
statistic, and I want to put a lot of
Okay,
pressure on
fire
our
away.
producer Michael to pull up the standings almost immediately, so we can jump right on into this, where we can see how MSU as well as St. John's are doing, because it actually is very different. We can see that Murray State Gold is actually
4 and
third
2.
in our rankings, going 4-2, 8-4 in their maps. As well as when we go down to St. John's, they are 1-3 and 4-6 on their maps with a -2 map differential in comparison to the +4 map differential for Murray State. So very interesting to see those round counts as well as St. John's. I want to emphasize here 56-55. That is very different with a positive round count of 1 compared to Murray State's 28. So in their wins and losses, they are keeping it very close.
Yeah, they are certainly keeping it close, but it would obviously seem, looking at it from the start, Murray State is the sort of favorite here in this Challenger Central
Mm-hmm.
matchup. But nothing's ever guaranteed. In any given day, things can sort of get out of pocket. But let's go ahead and take a look at our lineups here. I believe we have those. I believe we're going to start with St. John. So there they are. It's Unstoppable, the Heretic. What a name for someone who goes to St. John's University. Making a statement. Winged Hussar, the Magic Comic, and Sun Tzu right there to round it out. A younger roster, one senior in there. Winged Hussar kind of locking it down in terms of talent. And then I feel like it might have switched right there. The Heretic got kicked out right out the gate, which makes sense. You don't want him. You don't want him in St. John's University. Very down on heresy these days. Dank Memento there stepping in. But again, a very young roster, mostly freshmen and sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
But let's walk us through Murray State Gold here.
Alrighty, and if we look at Murray State, we got DNA Plays, Bravo, Dual Shock 4, Monty, Poncho, always messes me, and Sunon, or Suwon. There we go. Very interesting names. I'm curious if Dual Shock 4 does come from PS4. I'd assume so, and if so, please tell me you're using a controller today. That'd be very interesting. But we can look over at the age of these players, and it does look like we have a good range, freshmen all the way to juniors, so no seniors. They're focusing on their studies. But these players do have a good range in both their degrees as well as their age. And I think that could bring a lot of different ideas to Siege. And depending how long these players have been in the Siege community, a lot of different types of strategies.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see. I mean, obviously Murray State Gold, they're on the ball. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Also a youngish roster. I mean, that's the other thing as well, right? Two relatively young rosters here. Let's take a look at our maps. You can see those four bands right off the bang, bat right off the bank. Bank did get banned. Oregon Villa and Cafe Dostoevsky there as a decider. So most likely, I mean, I'm not going to say never, but we're probably not going to see Cafe. A very standard map set, though. Oregon and Villa back to back. The one advantage here for St. John's is they will start off on the defense of Villa, so they will be able to pick up that strong defensive side there
Mm-hmm.
on map number 2 when push comes to shove.
Yeah, looking over at Oregon as the first map pick, we don't know. That's always the interesting, like, oh, I'm first to pick the map. I always hated that because you could be easily taking your counterparts or your opponent's map pick, where we could have seen that Oregon was selected by Murray State. But that's a whole bunch of speculation as our match will be starting very soon. Oregon has a pretty interesting dynamic in the sense that we have seen these top floor and the bottom floor site, and then it's always a ballpark of if we're going to see meeting room and going into kitchen or kitchen and dining. So I don't know how we're going to see both these players or all both these teams play that out, but I want to focus now on the basement site and just an emphasis on drones, because Corbett, we've had a lot of matches on this Oregon map, and it seemed like a lot of times with basement, there's a lot of lack of droning, and I think we're going to see that the bans are going to influence that a lot.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think droning in general has been one of the more critical issues we've seen from teams throughout like this season, right? There's been a lot of kind of misdroning and kind of misplays off the back of drones. And the teams that have droned the best have consistently, I think, put in the best performances here. But taking a look at our ban phase as we are starting now, St. John's here going to take Jackal off the board. Thatcher going, not a surprise. Either of those pretty stando bans. I do think there's a lot of emphasis placed on Thatcher bans in these lower tiers, and I don't necessarily know that they need that focus, if you understand what I'm saying, Binks. Because I mean,
I
Thatcher
do.
is a good operator. Like, he's perfectly
Hmm.
good. But the era
He's
of you
balanced
must,
now.
yeah, he's got other people who do actually the same job, right? Just not as well, but they do it, which I do think makes him as not a must ban pick in every situation. Interesting, by the way, that the Azami goes instead of the Valkyrie.
Hmm.
Azami
That's a
is
lot
such
of
a strong operator, right? Like, I was just
yeah.
reading, who was it? One of the Rainbow Six Siege talent experts from a higher tier talking about how strong Azami is just as a solo defender.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised to see her go, because she really does add a lot of versatility and strength to a defensive side.
She really does. And I think we can also attest to the lack of information um on the attack, sorry, the lack of banning of information on the defender side. I don't know how much I like it. I always like to have information for the defense, but when you oftentimes don't have these players actually having the opportunity to um, extend, like you play the Valkyrie, and I think we saw it last week where I'm trying to remember exactly what player it was, but they just played with the Valkyrie cam assisting a alibi on the roam. So you had a basement setup with someone just holding all the way back up in inside of attic, and it just delays so much time, Corbic, that I'm very concerned that you're going to be able to see that once again. And the Jackal not being on the board, you're going to have to do a lot of work to find exactly where these players are located.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's the fundamental difficulty of playing as the attackers in this day and age is you're always at a bit of an information disadvantage, right? And
Hmm.
that's an intentional game design. But having somebody like Valkyrie makes that information gap even bigger, right? Which is why I'm always surprised that Valkyrie is not banned. And I think one of there's this constant tension in these ban phases, I think, between banning Mira or banning Valkyrie if you want to ban another defender off the side, right? Like, you want to take a zombie out, okay, well, now you're gonna have to make a choice between Mira and Valkyrie. My instinctual response to that is almost always to go on the side of the Valk, just because I feel like Mira as an operator, her gadget is noticeable, right? Like, you can play around it. And sure, there are defensive setups. You put a mirror up, it becomes very, very difficult, but you can play around it. There's no hiding a black mirror. Black eye cameras, they go in so many places that people are not aware of. And the information advantage that is provided is so hefty. And they're much more, I think, just in general, difficult to counter, right? You got to run an IQ
Yeah.
sometimes specifically for that purpose. And that's frustrating for an operator. So I always think it's a bit interesting to see where people come down on it. I mean, obviously, I can see some advantages to the Mira band there as well. It's just my personal preference. I think leans towards taking out the cams.
Yeah. I also want to go back and talk about the Thatcher ban. I don't want to say I'm growing quite sick of them on Oregon, but I really am. I think this is no longer year 4, year 5 siege where
Right.
you have to ban out one of these, the Thatcher or one of the hard reach operators on a lot of these maps. There's a lot of variation, can openers, that secondary hard reach does exist, and I don't see it as an absolute must ban in that scenario. But as
Huh.
we jump back, it's the same thing with Thatcher now, where you have those secondary EMPs, and we can see a lot of versatility in a offensive roster. And I think that's what we're seeing. Of course, you got the repick, so we can go in just more digest what's going on with
Wild.
the defense.
There's no way.
No, if this sticks, then
There's no way. That's wild. I mean, I love it, to be fair, but that is crazy. double
believe it or not,
snipers, double snipers, two rush operators, and then Grim, because why not?
I've never seen Grim played once in all of my commentating. Not once.
It sucks. Let's be honest. He's the worst new operator that has been added to Siege. maybe ever.
Ever.
Like, he's really not good. And the thing is,
There's a
his
switch.
ability. There's the switch.
Keep
of
going, keep
course.
going. I still want. I
knew
know
it.
this is good. I want this
I
hot.
knew it
Not a
was
hot
coming.
take.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a particularly hot take. I mean, he's just not very good, and the downside is that he has the tools and the kit to be a good operator. Like, you could genuinely make him quite good. It's just that the way that he was designed by Ubisoft when they released him, he's just not that strong. His gadget isn't as effective as it should be, and I think it really limits his value because he would slip into an anti-flanker role with someone like Nomad or someone like Zero, or a Gridlock, what have you, where they can kind of maybe provide information or shut down areas, and he just can't do that because he doesn't have the sustainability. And the information gathering tool is a sightline tool. It's just not that effective. You have to really risk yourself. But anyway, speaking of a good operator who was added, Solus was being played right there by DNA Plays, and you saw how effective she is just at hunting drones, right? One of her most basic duties, and doing great work right there, taking out St. John's information game early on.
Yeah, and I like the floors. There's a lot of different takes and just different interaction that we could see. And now the spray from Unstoppable inside a garage could have been met by the alibi of DualShock 4, but it looks like that controller sensitivity is not going to do exactly what they were looking for. Now, looking back towards the second floor, we always see more of a split tank, and that's exactly what what St. John's is going for in this scenario, as St. John's is going to go for big tower as well as the small closet inside of master bedroom. The reason for this, you want to split the defender's resources, make them use up as much utility as you can, and pinch them to the back of site. And then the cherry on top would be a player going from any one of the single or double windows just to clean up some of those frags and make sure that the defenders have nowhere to go. If you're a defender, you want to make sure to be stopping any one of these pushes. If you stop one side and then you can allocate your resources differently, then you have a lot better options going forward in the round.
It's very aggressive playstyle coming out of St. John's right now. Not a lot of hesitation, right? Just sort of trying to make things happen. Swan here is actually playing a pretty decent position and playing it well, holding off the aggression coming from the attic and from that long angle on Armory. And that's a good stun grenade in there for the lifeline coming out from the Zofia, kind of pushing him back. Another stun grenade coming in. Not a lot Swan can do in this position. Unstoppable steps up there to try and get the kill. Great step forward by Monty Poncho there to finish it off on the other side. Finally, though, Winged Hussar steps up to the breach, and he'll go ahead and collect one. Has to back out of the gunfight there, though. Only 40 seconds left on the clock, but they're making good progress here.
Wow. That's a really huge pick. Take out the thermite. There goes your defuse as well. You can see the Souls play from down below, just trying to track that defuse. There's a double kill for Winged, as they'll be able to pick up their kill onto Monty. That was your Jaeger that got the pick early on the round. 3 Toxic Babes still remaining with 22 seconds to go. They have to get this plant down, but Bravo is going to be stuck inside of dorms, trying to look for where exactly the player is. Meanwhile, Wing is going to get their triple kill on the round, and this is going to force DNA to come back up, even though they hear the plant. 10 seconds to go. If they deny it could be huge. They're going to use an impact to rotate right on into master bedroom, looking towards attic. Not going to see anything. Spring around. There's a double kill for DNA. They find one. Looking for two. Down goes Sun. And now they just have to find one remaining player. They don't know where. They have a few different option points. They know they could be playing inside of dorms, but that leaves a lot of room for rotates. No flashes in the arms of the Maverick. Swinging around from attic, trying to find a way into sight. They know that they have to go for the defuse. 20 seconds to go. DNA may start to stick this. Winged waiting. Swings out, nearly missing each other. They know where the opponent is. Swing from DNA, not able to find their shots. Lit up to his tiny sliver of HP. 10 seconds to go. The impact is thrown out. 7 seconds. This is going to have to be a push, and it is going to be forced. Gets off, and that's going to be a round win for the attackers as Winged use the pistol. And that is a beautiful display of time management.
Really well handled, honestly, by Winged Hussar. That was really, really well done, frankly. It was a little bit fortunate that neither of them died when they were exchanging gunfire through that doorway at about 5 feet away. But really, really well handled by Winged Hussar. He kept his cool. He kind of played off the defuse noise, right, and used his footsteps. Didn't fall for the bait, which is always a difficult prospect. Sort of just held his nerve, and I mean, he walks out of that round with 4 kills. So just really, really well handled. A very kind of calm and competent bit of play right there. little bit frustrating. I think if you're on the side of Murray State, right, you can't feel particularly happy about exactly how that went, but I don't think you can also be super upset about it. I mean, you nearly had it, right? It was the issue that developed right there, Binks, was a classic roamer problem, right? Where the roamer doesn't come back to the bomb site at the right time. And that's a very fixable issue.
That's a big debate though, because it is Souls. That's diffuser like case denial, where there was one frag that was obtained on the thermite, stopping the plant initially. So it creates a really big and interesting dynamic of if you have the Souls or in my comp mind playing the Valkyrie or the Pulse or the Mozzie down below, going for that C4 type of play. It's a big moral battle of when do they rotate back. Because if they stay down there, they're going to be recognized. Of course, you can say once you get your C4 kill, come back. But there's always playing for that spray, and Souls just excels at that, and it changes the dynamic completely.
Yeah, it does. It does change the dynamic relatively completely. And, you know, it's the eternal kind of issue that I think teams are going to have, right? And we talked a lot in our previous games about the idea of a balancing aggression, right? Like, when do you get aggressive? When do you not get aggressive? And it's always a question that defenses have to ask themselves. And I think you're kind of, you know, it's in that ballpark, right? Just decision making. That is a wild setup on the MP5K right there. I love that long barrel with those colors. It just looks like looks like a cartoon gun. It really does. This is crazy. Swan playing that same spot, and we are back to the same bomb site, or that old bugbear apart. But fine, good, dandy. We'll see what they can do with it this time. They have a much better idea of what the attack looks like, and there's the payoff. Sun Tzu gets hit immediately by Swan, and that leaves Winged Hussar in a relatively uncomfortable peek hole position.
You're scared. And this is exactly what I was talking about in that first round, to be able to cut off a side of this push. Great grenade from Unstoppable, and that's exactly what you want to do with utility and information, as DualShock will be relegated to the bench for the rest of the round. We're evened out 4-4 with 1:10 to go, as St. John's push is well underway, and they are starting to split up the players of Murray State. Suwon trying to rotate back, and look at this, walls opening all around them, and they are stuck in a very uncomfortable position. The toxic canister will be thrown, doing a little bit of chip damage to the thermite, but just waiting. These mute jammers also doing a great job of denying this Flores. Nade being thrown out, not going to be captured by anything. C4 from down below, that is a destructible floor, and it won't do much. Able to see someone on their phone, and the RC Rotero drone spray up, not able to walks right into it. A huge kill, but Unstoppable is there for the refrag, bringing things back down to a 3v3, 30 seconds to go, and it's going to be an absolute clutch or pinch situation. Bravo able to go and clutch up on their kill, shutting down Unstoppable, but there's the refrag once again from the thermite of Dank. Rotating right back, eating more of that toxic smoke. Winged still 4-0, looking for a 5th kill, but they'll get shut down by Monty, who's holding at it quite strong. And there's Bravo pushed up from White Stairs over to hold the long aim towards Trophy, and that's going to be a huge round win for Murray State.
Well, you know, 1-1 split. It is the defender advantage site, so not entirely surprised that they managed to come out on top right there, but they have to be happy with that one. Good, well played, well orchestrated defense by them. We'll see now when they transition down to basement here, Banks, whether or not they're able to, you know, hold on to that advantage, or whether St. John's can sort of sneak another W in. And I assume that's something that they would be like looking for, right? Is this idea that, okay, well, look, we were on the first bomb site. We snuck one in there. Can we do it again on another sort of primary, tertiary bomb site, right? Or secondary bomb site, I guess I should say. Curious to see what Murray State does. Looks like they're playing for the extension, right? They've certainly got the tools to push out to the elbow, but they neglect what has become a key part of the elbow defense in this day and age, and that's a mute. Right? That's something that we've actually seen quite a few times on this Oregon when we've watched it. You don't have a mute on this site, Binks, and it makes this, you know, Bravo orchestrated elbow defense pretty much non-existent, right? Like paper thin, because one Rotero is going to take all of that out.
5 seconds to go.
Not just that, though. We have an interesting pick in the form of Winged Hussar, who's taking the Capitao, and each one of those crossbow bullets is not able to get caught by a Jaeger. The only device that will catch that is your My Puck, unless there was a change that I am not made aware of. That I do really hope to see that. That's a dynamic that comes into play, because that's 2 operators now that could easily clear out. And the same thing with the gridlock track stingers. You are able to throw those all the way back and they will not be caught by an ADS.
No, they won't be caught. And Capitao is an interesting operator. We don't see him an awful lot. It's not because he's not kind of good. He has a lot of value that he can bring. The issue more is just knowing how to use him effectively. He's an operator that requires a lot of sort of tactical and strategic timing, and teams aren't always comfortable with that amount of pressure, right? Because his gadgets are very effective, but they're also very limited, and they need to be used in coordination with the rest of the team to maximize their value. Speaking of the rest of the team, the hunt now for Monty Poncho, and I really would not like it if Magic Comet got popped up here, because they need those Roteros.
Good
Fortunately,
pinch.
Unstoppable gets him on the pinch. Now Magic Comet is in position, will survive that. Hopefully they can kind of work him back around and get those drones to work. I would almost have been tempted to sort of push down harder on that elbow with just a couple of Roteros to maybe give the illusion that you were thinking about attacking that direction, Binks, but they've gone for a much more vertically oriented challenge here.
Yeah, and the problem is with this, you have 2 key points of contention. That those are the hatches that you have now opened up, and you've used your thermite charges, if I am correct. So I heard 2 of them go off, and I'll see in a moment if Dank still has 1 more exothermic charge, but I know 1 of them was used on the laundry hatch. So I'm interested to see. We now have there's the electrical hatch. This is a very vertical push, and with 5 players still alive for St. John's, Murray State's gonna have to do a really good job and use those toxic babes of Bravo to really force them up. And DualShock has made their way all the way back up onto the roam, and it's going to take out Dank. That is going to be the case down, and this is going to reap absolute havoc in the St. John's comms as they look for exactly what happened. Winged hesitant to push up, and if you're going for a vertical play, this means you haven't taken control of certain parts of site. This means that Unstoppable pushing in Freezer doesn't know what has and is possibly cleared and comfortable for them to play in. So these 2 players from Freezer are going to have to do a lot of work and win the initial gunfight, because if they get traded out, this entire push will fall as DNA finds 1 onto Unstoppable, and it's just absolutely falling down as Bravo finds 1, DNA collecting onto their second, and there's a Toxic Babe closing out the gridlock inside of Laundry. A great play from Murray State and a beautiful collapse onto the attackers.
Well, okay, so there, I think the issue probably was St. John's not really applying enough pressure from multiple angles. Once it became clear that it was relatively one-dimensional, you sort of saw Murray State adapt to that and play around it very effectively. Also, you don't like leaving gaps in your kind of net, right, where somebody can sneak around behind you and inflict damage, which is kind of what happened in that sense, because you saw them clear that top floor and they actually did it very well, but that still somehow Bravo got up there and got a kill off of that placement. So you got to be kind of consistently aware of where the enemy team is playing. You can't give them an inch and let them take a yard, which is pretty much what happened. Still, I don't think it was the worst sort of setup from St. John's. I think they just need to maybe readdress how they want to take that point with a little bit more kind of multipolar pushing right there. Let's put it at that as we look over here towards our tertiary bomb site.
Of course, we have Murray State opting to go for the meeting hall as well as kitchen setup. An interesting complication for this is, do you opt to hold up above, or do you just neglect it and leave it to your attackers to sort of meddle with? In this case, it looks like we're going to have Murray State go for a light extension. You want to make sure that you show a manifest intent to control, as contract law would call it, and just try to stop any players from making their way. DualShock going for an interesting roam. It's been a long time since I see someone going hide, I guess, inside a big tower, but doesn't look like it is going to be a hide. Peeking out with an SMG-11. Wow! No! Well, I don't know if there's a change I was not made aware of, but beautiful
goes the dynamite
from DualShock, and that's going to be a really huge pick as Magic Comic is not going to be able to grab any frags or use much of their util this round.
No. You can't keep getting away with this. Oh no, that's very unfortunate. Right there. It's a true rest in pepperoni moment. For the unfortunate St. John's player, Magic Comic. I mean, it's the Iana that's a frustrating loss. It's not a certain death loss. They actually just missed him there. No, dual shock, not another one. Oh no, okay, he
That
might
would be
have to go
so
with the ghost here.
devastating.
Great tower, big tower looking a little less comfortable by the moment here for the Vigil player. And that's really kind of, I mean, he's done amazing work as a roamer, Binks. He's completely shifted the angle of this attack.
No,
Their minds. They don't want to contest that anymore.
They're questioning where to go.
They're gonna shift.
Wow,
Rough.
I tip my hat to DualShock for that play because it is scary that those angles where you're springing, if you're not able to get that frag. I didn't see enough drones cooked in, but that's probably because the drone economy of St. John's is in the absolute gutter, not to mention the fact it's a Vigil. We have one drone remaining for Wing Tusar as well as one for Sun Tzu. So I have to wonder, where are you getting your information from? You don't have the Iana. This is going to be an absolute push, a blind push now as they make their way towards meeting. DualShock's able to creep up from Freezer, and they might be able to grab a second frag. Although it is just a 5v4, it feels like many things are going the way of Murray State. As I say, that Unstoppable gets the refrag, and they turn their attention towards site. Spray from upstairs. That's the problem with not having any information, as DNA on the Warden is able to collect onto their frag, finally blowing a hole into meeting. DNA looking to make their way right back down. This is going to be a very interesting hold as Bravo has opted to take the Oryx. You have the Warden as well, but you don't have any C4s available, and you are not going to have any toxic babes, which means that these long angles could indeed favor the attackers. But with 20 seconds to go, there's not much to do. Bravo gets one. Lit up is going to be Monty, and they are going to follow to Unstoppable, who has a triple kill. Gonna have to catch up with the ace, but nope. That is going to be the TCSG with a very long angle using the amplified scope and a nice, beautiful one tap to end off that tertiary bomb site.
Well, Binks, here's the thing. I think what happened right there is a classic issue of sort of mid-round adaptation, or I guess more like struggling with mid-round adaptations, right? Like, if you look at your very top tier Siege teams, the people who really, really know what they're doing, who do this for a living, their ability to adapt to unfortunate situations or surprises is really high, right? You have an IGL, something goes wrong, you make the call immediately, everybody shifts, it's very organized, there is a backup plan for the backup plan. I think what happened right there for St. John's is that initial kill came in. They were not really able to clear big tower, and you kind of felt from the moment that happened that there was just some discombobulation, right? Like, St. John's never looked comfortable. They tried to rotate the attack around. It was a little kind of half-baked. I don't think they necessarily knew exactly what they wanted to do. The good news is, obviously, like, a team can, learn to be better about that stuff. I just think that was really where the problem was there. There was no good sort of backup plan for whatever their initial, obviously something themed around Big Tower, right? I'm assuming they were going to take Big Tower and then take Attic and push down from there. There was really no backup, and that's something that can be learned, I guess, is the positive takeaway.
Yeah, I think that's just Siege in a nutshell.
Yeah,
and we're gonna have a 3-2.
You gotta be flexible at the end of the day. You really do.
And nothing ever truly goes to plan in this game, ever. I'm sorry. You can say, well, we were planning on them getting those 5 kills. No, you weren't. You were not. You are not fooling anyone by saying you were planning on just having one player kill everyone. I will digress on that, though, because we have an initial push coming from Tower 3-2, and that is the norm so far, as it is a second floor bunk defense. This is the one site that we have seen St. John's successfully attack.
Right, yeah. It's been relatively successful for them. They did well, actually, up here the first time around. The second go wasn't so easy. I mean, I think that St. John's needs to win these rounds are not very, it's not super duper demanding. I think a lot of it is mostly just kind of coordination and pushing off one another. And then I think that the big pillar is something that we actually talked about at the very start of this, which is just the information game, right? Like, you need good information. I mean, there you go. Beautiful kill by Sun Tzu onto Swan to start things off. They knew Swan was going to be in that position. They take that defender out right away, and they do what they need to in order to breach this attic. The problem is now, do you know that there's a Malusi underneath that has a hole looking up? Because if you don't know that, you're probably cruising for a bruising right here, as it were. But you've got Racheros in place. You've got plenty of time for this execute. This is a good attack. It's built to a good spot.
Yeah, I don't like the lack of a mute from Murray State, as it seems to be allowing for St. John's to just accelerate their push in through sight. No contention inside of attic. That means all 5 players are approaching from the east and moving towards the western site. Spray from Monty, who switched over to play the bandit. They've been on the Jaeger notoriously throughout this game. Flash is being cooked out, nade being thrown. They were flash. It will make its way properly into sight. Monty completely blind. Retinas are hurting very much inside of this kid's dorms. Unstoppable find Monty to find Sun Tzu. Unstoppable is on the Ayana trying to rotate around. Meanwhile, Dank has gone down, and you are going to have the Toxic Babe that is down to revive is in the realm of possibilities, but not very likely. Bravo able to find one more. Meanwhile, the Thermite is still sitting inside a default, down, clutching their wound, and it's going to be an absolute sea of red for Murray State as they clean that one up, as the attackers were not able to make it past the attic.
Yeah, again, I mean, it was a good attack. I feel like it built up to a pretty solid position. Just they did lack that other directional pressure, right? I don't think they ever got closet wall open, which means that they didn't have any, shots coming from that direction. I don't think they had anyone on big window, which meant that Murray State was pretty comfortable in their ability to sort of rotate over and fight that defense. I was hoping they could do a little bit more with the attic, right? You're sort of splitting the focus right there between the attic and then the doorway leading in from Trophy. But honestly, if you can't, make a play off of that, it will sort of fall down. And I think that's genuinely what happened right there. But, it wasn't a bad effort from St. John's. It looked very clean out the gate. I think it was mostly just they weren't able to capitalize on what they needed to capitalize in the mid-round scenario. And actually, honestly, if I had to say where St. John's seems to be losing a lot of these rounds, it does seem to be kind of a mid-round issue, right? Like, a lot of the early round play is okay. I mean, you saw the sort of unfortunate death to the little cheeky peeky from the Vigil, but in general, their early round play has been all right. It's mostly kind of when they get to that mid-round stage, things just sort of go into a bit of a stasis mode, and they struggle to sort of figure out what they need to do. Anyway, a lot of talking about a bomb site that we're not on. we're down to the basement now, and we've been here before. I think we have a relatively good idea how St. John likes to attack this. I'm curious if they're going to stick with this verticality or if they're going to try something different, but it does appear that the vertical is the way to go.
Yeah, and there is a large defender presence on site, and that is to be expected in a bomb defense type of game. But I want to highlight that not all the players are going to be sitting on site. They are spread out, and you do have people going for the roam, such as DualShock, who is playing Mozzie, who is going to be able to capture drone, and that leads to a bit of a mysterious nature. So you have just to keep deploying more and more utility. Drones are already cut down to 5 out of the 10, and make that 4 drones remaining now for St. John's, all off this roam clear, and that could be scary. Suwon getting a huge kill to open things up on Freezer's stairs. There goes your gridlock as well as your flank coverage. A second one for DualShock, making that 3v5 as Flores falls. We even out at a 3-4, favoring the defenders of Murray State. And this is a very good opening for Murray.
Yeah, it is a solid opening for Murray. Swan here in a good position to capitalize on some more kind of their positioning here as well. And it just kind of busts down. I mean, I feel silly because I was hyping up some of the early round gameplay here out of St. John's, but I feel like the early round gameplay, again, it was actually all right. Now that I think it's all right. Again, it sort of just breaks apart in the mid stage, and they're sort of split up here as well. I mean, I get what they're trying to do here with Unstoppable. This is kind of that multi-front approach that I was talking about, but I'm not sure they have a good plan to sort of follow up on it. Wayne Chassar is certainly a person who could Put it in all chat. That's funny. I think he did that on purpose, actually, to freak him out. But neither here nor there. Monty Pancho with the wide swing somehow does not die. Neither does Dank Memento.
Wow.
Instead, it's DNA who dies. Winged Hussar trying to make something happen. Won't quite find it. Monty Pancho's going to have to fall back here. No choice, Binks, as Dank Memento goes down.
Yeah, Dank down, toxic canisters are being thrown up, and this is going to be a huge triple kill from Unstoppable. They made it their way into laundry, and this is going to send the remaining players 2-on, second 1v1, having to find this remaining player, Zoph, spraying out through the destructible, going to do a little bit of pinch damage. Unstoppable keeps making their way up. They're going to throw, a beautiful deception tactic. Unstoppable, what a bait! Great use of the explosive and the pre-fire behind. The Jaeger had nowhere safe to run to, and that leads us to a 4-2 split, favoring the now attackers of Murray State. And I gotta say, this gives St. John's a fighting chance.
Beautiful. Just beautifully played. That is wild. I mean, to be honest with you, Murray's or St. John's, their players who have been in these late round situations have been putting up some spectacular little performances. I mean, you think about Wing Hussar on the clutch earlier in round, was that round number 1, and then Unstoppable right there, the best player on the team, obviously, for St. John's, but did really well right there. Honestly, excellent bait. And I mean, you can't blame the Jaeger for falling for it either, because that's such a difficult situation where your attention was split. The ideal scenario is to try and somehow get out of that split, almost take away the choice. Like, you push one direction because you just need to stop them from taking advantage of you being split like that in your focus. But, credit where credit is due. Really well played. And St. John's, they go out of that with a 2-4, which, it's Oregon. It's not the worst possible scoreline you can have for a very defender-sided map against a team that, well, on paper at least, is quite a bit stronger than you.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. And I'm interested to see how Murray State attacks this. I feel a sneeze coming on. I'm not going to lie. It's going out. We're good. So as they go in, we have the Lion come out for the first time in this matchup, and I hope that they do use this in tandem and possibly to replace the Jackal that we could see in a future matchup, but just to replace the droning and the lack of information, and especially on a site execute to freeze those players and make them spotted at the moment they move, could be very influential. And here's something I love: the use of a breaching charge by DualShock. This is just going to scare a bunch of the defenders, and I love this synergy between Bravo and the Ash of DualShock, because it really gives them a lot of options on their push in, and you have the EE1D to free some people, and now you have so much utility being dumped in. I love this push so far from Murray State because it's showing a whole immense amount of pressure. You have the verticality from down below. Oh my goodness, I'm in love right now, Corbett.
Yeah, they've done very well here, very well thought out and well executed. They clearly, they know what they're doing, right? Like, they're salami slicing their way onto this point. Love the positioning of that alibi, by the way. Holding one in the pocket and throwing that down right there, I think, is a very wise choice in this late round scenario. Still some util left here as well for Murray State to play around with. They've got, I think, 1 frag grenade on the board. They've still got an impact EMP, and they managed to get the breach into closet. And perhaps most importantly of all, they've got these Roteros, and that's going to help them open up this defense. What's fascinating to me is there's a sudden shift of the boards here by the Murray State members, where they all seem to kind of be redirecting to different parts of the map, which is something I don't think I necessarily expected. They're literally like doubling down and coming at it from a different direction. DualShock is actually trying to fight up through the floor. Fascinating.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to break this one down with you, Corbett, because I feel St. John's, you're gonna have to hold your positions because you're about to get pinched from angles you're not even able to comprehend yet. Monty is gonna get the refrag as Suwon was the first to fall, and that means you won't have the E1Ds. Huge kills on the side of St. John's and Murray State as we even down to a 3v3. It's gonna be a matter of, can the defenders guess, and not even guess, but use the information they still have at their fingertips to know where exactly this push is coming from. 40 seconds to go. There's a lot on the line. DualShock to get their kill onto Magic Comic. And you just have to keep spraying around. Great shot from Dank. They're going to have a double kill on the round, still holding inside of Attic. There's the refrag you're looking for from Bravo, all left up to Sun Tzu. They're 1-6. They have the Toxic Babes, though, and if they are able to even this out to a 1v1, we can see a very different matchup. Almost next to no utility remaining for the players of St. John's. And the peer out, DNA gets the much needed kill. Case goes down. Murray State, what a glorious push and use of breaking up the defender's sight, but very great adaptation and attempt from St. John's.
If I'm being honest with you there, I think almost Murray State kind of made that more difficult than it needed to be. Like the sudden swap up of directions and trying to come at it from different angles and stuff, I think actually made that harder rather than easier. I say that, it was well done at the end of the day. I just think
great
that
time
they
management.
probably could. Yeah, they probably could have just relied on their superior gun skill, right? And continued pushing in from the things that they had already opened. Or, not all kind of peeled off, because I felt like they really all sort of peeled off right there. And just kind of kept pressure up a little bit harder on one side and maybe sent, just the one player over to the other direction to open things up. It was interesting. I'll just say that. It was an interesting attack.
I would contest
quite different than what we see.
I would very much contest your point there on the rotate, because I think their timing might have been a tiny bit off, and we saw that the frags of Murray State were still very possible. The whole point for rotating from side to side and having everything open while still maintaining your man count is to be able to close off the angles and have someone inside a trophy with those Roteros you use to clear that and know that no player is there, holding that cross. So the moment that the Jaeger peers out into Attic, those two players that you lost taking that angle, that no longer becomes a problem. You shut down a player in the form of Dank that was a very potent player in that scenario. But as we turn our attention back towards the defensive site, we do have a blitz and twitch on the board, and I think that was probably in retaliation to the possibility of a mute, but there inevitably is no mute on the board, and for the first time in a long time, we're actually going to see a push into blue bunker.
All right. Yeah, we haven't actually seen anything go this direction, so they got a blitz. I mean, they're serious. They're serious about it. The smoke's already gone.
Yeah,
he's already out. He knows when he's been beat right there, Sun Tzu. He'll just fall right back. Instead, though, it's great play from Wing Tassar actually to collect a kill and a Twitch drone. Okay, buddy, add value. You've already made up your worth here. What?
Blitz.
Oh, I didn't see the shield. I got so confused. I was like, there's no way. Dank Memento, though, coming from the other direction, just takes Bravo out of the picture.
Wow.
This is great defense from St. John's. Where was this last round? They're eating him alive.
Yeah, two players now remaining from this single-sided push. Flawless round denied by DNA. They're going to have a huge ace clutch here in order to recover anything. Dank, the absolute peaking menace, has been taken off the board, and now waiting patiently for their chance to fire upon the lonesome attacker. DNA making their way in towards bunker. They don't have the information of someone on pillar, and the moment they peek out from that pillar position, they will possibly have the opportunity for the kill. But I love this, just holding a cross angle. The Flores feels so unbelievably pinched here, and I'm a huge fan of it because you're giving them very little options for how they push. 4 players to find, spraying out multiple angles, 1 minute to go. That's 10 seconds per kill if you go 1 by 1 once you get to that 40-second mark. And it does look like it could be a tactical timeout of sorts, but I don't see the reasoning. When you're 2 to 5, you should be getting a lot more aggressive. Even if you don't have the utility, start pre-firing your angles. Try to get 1 on it. You're 12 and 5. We know you can frag out, but that will not be the case, as this is going to be a very safe play for Murray State and a potentially great round win for St. John's. Peering up, there's the Malusi spraying for 2. There is exactly, we're talking about that trade game you are playing for. St. John's keep this one close 5-3.
Wow. St. John's, great defense. I mean, like I said, they were just eating them alive right there. I guess the caveat, I will say, there's always a caveat. The caveat is that it was a blue bunker rush, and those are notoriously not great, right? Like, notoriously difficult to execute well is a better way to put it. Not great is too simple. Notoriously And I think kind of that was what we saw right there. And again, this harkens back to what I was talking about in the last round, Binks, which I do feel like Murray State being a little too clever at times. I don't know that they needed to go in the way they did. And the biggest issue right there is that they were, I think, so kind of what's the right word? They were so monomaniacally focused on executing the rush that they didn't take into account, like what happens if we don't get the elbow. And it was it reminded me of when St. John's lost their lost their Iana to the Vigil, and they were just kind of like, okay, well, that was our, what do we do now? And St. John's just happy to capitalize, right? They're happy to get kills from the angles that weren't being monitored. So make of that what you will, I guess. I mean, still Murray State with the advantage, right? They're not in a particularly bad spot here. Wow. You know what? I don't hate it. I actually don't hate that.
If it doesn't get spotted, then no.
Yeah, that's the catch, right? That's the catch, is you're taking a big gamble that nobody's going to notice you put a hole in that dresser. But I kind of like it.
Would you live there? I wouldn't.
No, I would never think of it, to be honest. I genuinely wouldn't. Do they have a second Artilla on it, Observer? Can you go look, please? No, I think that's the only one. That's wild.
No, because it would have to cover both, which means there's a second one around there.
What an interesting little trickerino they've thrown into the mix.
Probably throw an EMP would still be able to turn it off, though. So we'll see if that happens. But
how have they done this? I'm in awe. That's crazy. And then Magic Comet gets a kill from DualShock. I am seeing things in this game, Binks, that I have not ever seen before, which is rare. All things considered. And they haven't noticed it, by the way. I just want to add that. They sent the drone in there. Nobody picked up that there's a hole in that dresser yet. I don't think they ever will.
Yeah, moving on from our hyperfixation on the curious methods, Dank is going to be able to capture a kill onto Bravo, bringing this to 5-3. St. John's really putting a stake in the round, and this is going to really complicate things for Murray State, as you have the mute jammer get sprayed and shot out as it goes into the site. I'm almost at a loss for words here, Corbett. I was not expecting anything to be this lopsided for the defenders. With a minute 15 to go, it seems like Murray State has stalled out, essentially. Their Ayana's off the board. You're going to have the EE1D cook out. But the problem with that is you haven't burned your Jaeger utility. You could have thrown an EMP right at the wall there to make sure that there was nothing. But hence that was not the case. Doc being used to make sure all 5 players of St. John's are up at full health. A minute to go. This is an absolute wonderful situation as they only now make their way into Attic.
Yeah, they're literally only now breaching the kind of outer layer of the defense. Dank Memento falling back right here, peppering off a couple of shots. That was well played by DNA, though. Knew what they had to do. Nitro Cell coming up through the floor right there. Has to be careful. He's actually got it on 2 teammates. Don't want to unleash that beast just quite yet, but they're stalled up in Trophy now here as well. Monty Poncho can't really move forward. So it's Wing Tassar holding the shield. The other side of this combination is Sun Tzu. Good little swing from Wing Tassar. Won't find the kill, does get the down. A lot of pressure now here on Monty Poncho, who steps forward. He's got the backup from his teammate DNA. They'll come swinging around, but these cross angles firing in. No, they're making a good effort. Sun Tzu gets the kill, and the pre-planted C4 contributes to the victory. Kaid pushing the button on the cell phone there to finish it. And a very well executed defense by St. John's, and most importantly of all, the Electro Claw lived.
I think I stopped their entire push into there.
I don't think they knew what to do.
Kaid is the MVP of that round. I got a lot of credit. Wow. It's been a while since I've seen, or we can't call it Morgan today, Corbett. We really cannot. These teams have given us a match that we can actually look at and actually ponder the question of why and what if they push a different way. There's a lot of variation, and I feel like Murray State is now searching for a way they can shape up this match and change it, as the tertiary bomb site of St. John's is being selected. This is what I feel to be a must-win round for Murray State if they want to have a chance of closing this match off.
Huh. Well,
That's a hot take. I know it is.
No. I mean, it's just what a day we're having. I feel like I'm learning, which is again really because I feel like I should know these things. I mean, am I like doxing myself by saying that I should know these things, but I don't? I mean, I know about like weird bunker claws and stuff with Kaid, where you like throw them on the outside of the map or something ridiculous like that. But I've never seen that particular one before. It worked out though. Again, you know, more power to St. John's for finding it and taking advantage of it. So now I think the pressure lies on Murray State, right? They kind of have to pick up their game a little bit.
They have changed things up.
They've been playing things a little fast and loose. Banks, I think is how I would describe the way that they've been playing, and they're a very good team. So I know that they can tighten this up. Interesting, by the way, to see the newest operator, Bravo, on the board. We'll see what Dank Plays can do with her, because she does have a very interesting gadget. It's quite a strong gadget if it's used correctly. The issue is really, you know, using it correctly.
Yeah, you just sneak it by. You know that you have the mute on the, not on the board. And the cool thing there is the combination of Dokkaebi, where they can't go on their cams while you have a Dokkaebi call ringing out, so they won't be able to stop it if there's a Maestro, for instance. Very interesting stuff, and DNA is going to grab the first kill, and that's going to be the Kaid of Unstoppable off the board, your top frag from St. John's. Last thing you would really want to see, and this is what you normally get from an attic hold, where they are forced down very early on, and now you don't have to use any hard destructible utility. The Finka boost rings out, and I love this push thus far, as it's done a great job of Murray State clearing things out, and the pressure is really on St. John's. They have to get a frag to contend, as Bravo is going to also collect one. And look at all this hacking going on, looking for the Kaid claw. It actually is going to be coming from up above. They still have one more charge to throw out. There's 2 frags for the blue defenders of St. John's, as they are fighting to bring things back. Winged as well as Dank have done a phenomenal job of just playing together and holding things down. And you have Sun Tzu, and wow, that's a very crooked tablet. Just staring down all defenders now on their phones. You have a bit of utility. Drop into sight. Prone angle being held by Bravo. This is very interesting. This Jaeger even remotely tries to swing out. Oh, wow! What? Oh, that was clean. Oh, that just makes you feel really good. There's the cleanup you're looking for from Murray State. Oh, that gave me little shivers down my spine.
You know what was wild about that? I'm pretty sure. Okay,
it was a reload cancel.
Yeah, the reload cancel. The new magazine change where they only have 1 bullet in the gun. I'm pretty sure he killed him with 1 shot.
God!
Wild. I don't know if he was stunted on purpose or if that's just how that worked out. That's crazy.
We talked last week.
We did.
We spent 10 minutes in the green room before our stream started about, I wonder if we're going to see the reload cancellation when you get that 1 bullet come into play. That's exactly it. Where you're swinging around the corner, you go for the reload, you think you're safe, you click that aim in, you're going to be able to aim in 1 singular bullet to the head. Wow. That one's going in the highlight reel. I'm telling you right now. Clip it and ship it.
That was definitely a highlight reel play. No doubt about it. Might have known that he was making a highlight reel play right there. Lucky he hit that shot. Or he would have just been
then would be the complete opposite of, we talked about this in the green room. You can't be reloading unless you know it. Oh, it would have been a completely different scenario.
He would have been sitting there with an empty gun, mag in hand. Would not have gone well, but he hit it. So, you know, now it's glorious. It's funny how that works.
10 seconds.
Anyway, match point here for Murray State, but no longer is it the tertiary bomb site. Excuse me. No longer is it the tertiary bomb site. So St. John's has the opportunity to put in a good shift on defense again and push this a little bit closer. I mean, they've played a decent game. I think that there's just been a couple of errors, especially in those attacking rounds, that are still kind of haunting them. But nothing that I feel is like completely insurmountable, if we're being honest. Brava not making an appearance again. Instead, it's her cousin Capital who's now in the lineup. That's Bravo taking that over. I wonder if that maybe is an implied blue bunker play with the smoke and the fire. You've got the Racheros, obviously, send those out, and they can kind of deal with this issue. Attempts to get around it. I don't know that he placed that quite right, but he did. And as such, I think the smoke probably going to abandon that position. Might actually try and hold on to it. He still has Jaegers right there, but they want to play this crossfire angle again because this is what they did last time they were on this bomb site, and it worked so well for them. I'm not surprised at all they're trying to play off the same thing.
Yeah, second repair drone being sent right on in, and they are still holding it. Jaeger will come and make that executive decision. No, we're getting the barricade up, and I like the Sharia gate being placed onto it. And if they open up that side, that could make a large difference on the round. But time is ticking away. These attackers have not made their way in. The prone angle not going to work as winged. Gets the headshot onto DNA. There goes your Flores. They have done their initial job on the round. Not to say that they couldn't have done more, sending a Rotiro drone out to try to catch this Malusi. Looking the right way. If Suwon is able to capture this frag and open up Pillar, I do see that Murray State could end this off very quickly. Straight from the Malusi, they'll rotate back. That still means Pillar control will go the way of Murray State, but possibly too little too late, as it is now 5-3, favoring the defenders of St. John's. The only person taking a little bit of damage is going to be Winged, who made their way all the way back towards the site. In this passive angle, the lack of control that we have seen from Murray State has really made a difference. As this downstairs site, you don't have a roam game to contend with. You have to be making a very big impression. And this spray, find your frag. You're looking for the Malusi. There's a spray all the way from double door going towards Pillar. Spray out, unstoppable. Now the one that is on Pillar. Looking for Monty to swing out. Looking for anyone to go for an instigating push. The remaining player also inside of Freezer will be Dual Shock. Trying to spray, deny the flawless round to St. John's, but it doesn't look to be coming into fruition, Core, because this has been almost flawlessly played by Murray State, as Unstoppable collects the frag onto Monty, and it's all left up to Dual Shock. There's one, looking for a second, not able to find any of these players. Malusi swinging back up and around of Winged, having to whip out that bearing 9, go for the quick reload, 25 bullets in the mag. Not able to find the remaining 4, looking for the headshot, finds it, making it a 1v3. But that's all they will be able to grab as St. John's collects one more. We're going to need every single regulation round in this matchup.
Great play there by St. John's again. A really solid defense by them. And these, they show these flashes and they do a really good job. It's just maintaining the consistency of that performance across all rounds, I think, is the key issue for them in these matches. But they have to be happy with that. I mean, you can't, be upset about such a spectacular defensive setup right there. And, unfortunately for Murray State, you get the feeling they sort of got fed into the meat grinder and went along with it. And as a result, they sort of lose. A lot of words, not a lot of banding around. There's a good effort at the tail end there to try and, pull it out and get some kills, but it doesn't work at the very sort of bitter end. I want to give a shout out here. So we are, close to the end of regulation. Should give credit to our two top fraggers here. Unstoppable with 16 kills on the board, and then DNA plays with 17 kills. I mean, it's been spectacular gameplay from both of those guys here tonight. And, it's the kind of performances that are keeping their respective teams in this, right?
No
like,
way.
Why would you do that?
I think that's where it was last time.
Yeah, I just don't. Oh, no. He's modeled it. Quick, get the Artilla back. Yeah, there we go. I feel like I don't understand, and I like playing Kaid, and I don't understand. So I don't have the. I clearly shouldn't be allowed to play IQ, or I clearly shouldn't be allowed to play Kaid anymore. This is not allowed.
Yeah, and it's a scenario of fool me once, shame on you. And fool me twice, there's the Kaid Claw. You're not going to be able to spray up for that one. I think they're going to be puzzled for the first little second, but a quick drone game will be able to reveal that, oh, it's in closet, and up, it's just inside of master. Those are both very easily obtainable. If Murray State does properly go and clear out both of these walls, opened up early on, I could see a possible repeat of the first round. Starting to realize you can't shoot those from down below. It might puzzle them a little bit longer. You have someone on their phone! Look up! Oh no! Suwon, you had the free push. Oh, that is very painful. Start pinging those for your teammates as they'll be able to find them. But this is still a unfathomable amount of time wasted by Unstoppable, who's made their way up from Laundry Stairs looking to find a frag. Bravo able to find the opening kill onto Magic Comic. There goes your Doc, not up to do much healing. But this is not being watched. Dual Shock to find Winged as the split push is well underway, and it seems like the one person that's going to be able to stop that is going to be Unstoppable. C4 sent up, their location revealed. They're going to have to go somewhere that is probably being held by the attackers. Very interesting push method is they're going to opt towards a freezer, rotate back. Meanwhile, up on the second floor, we have Sun Tzu holding top of White Stairs. Very hard to hold that. Sorry, I'm losing my words here in the final round of the distance of the Mossberg shotgun. Now, with a minute to go, Murray State has the man advantage. They have Bravo who's lit up and just can drone them in. We need to see, though, a big commit onto the site. If we don't have that, then we could see things so easily fall apart as Unstoppable is allowed to rotate back as there wasn't enough of a hold. Dual Shock now making their attempt from attic. They don't have anyone to follow up on them, but it doesn't matter. They get their frag. There's their headshot. Unstoppable is still rotating to make their way to site. Sorry, they have made it as they're top of White Stairs, but Dual Shock's going on an absolute huge round. They collect 4. They're going to be able to win the entire map out for Murray State, 7-5, and that one really went the distance.
Wow, it did. And you know what? You got to give credit to St. John's right there. Banks, what? 9th seed overall,
Yep.
rank 9 versus rank 3, and they take them to a 7-5. I mean, genuinely not a bad performance from them, to be honest. And if you look at those kill differentials, they're wild sort of on the bottom 2 team members, but for everybody else, it's pretty much in the ballpark. And I think personally, to me, that felt a lot closer than what I thought we might expect to see.
Yeah, I felt like they were really running away with it in that first attacking round. But the adaptations that we saw from St. John's were so nice and welcome. And based on how proficient both of these defender sides have been, I am so interested to see how they will change and affect Villa, which is going to be our map that comes up next.
Yeah, it should be really interesting to see what they bring to the house on Villa. It's going to be a defensive start for St. John's, who did look, I think, by far much more comfortable on the defense. And that, I think, could be enough of an advantage. So I will say, I don't think it's likely that this is going to end in us going to Cafe. I still hold on to that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't at this point be surprised just based on the performance that they showed on the last map. I think probably what we're looking at, we're going to switch over to Villa, and then it's just going to be, a good defensive half from the members of St. John's, but they're going to falter on the attack because they really look like that was where they had to do most of their work.
Yeah, but on that note, we're going to be taking a quick 3.5-minute break. Don't go anywhere. NECC Rainbow Six Siege will be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to NECC Rainbow Six Siege. My name is Banks, joined by the absolutely beautiful Corbeck to right. And I have to wonder, we saw a very close first matchup that we were not expecting, and we have Villa as our next map. Do you expect to see that same type of close, battled nature between these two teams?
I would, and I think that's probably because you'll see St. John starting out on the defensive side. That said, this was Murray State's map pick. So clearly they feel pretty comfortable on this
Mhm.
map. It would not necessarily shock me if they came out swinging right out the gate, right? And just like put in a really good performance on the attack. It's well within the realm of possibility they could go that way. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, Binks, that last map was a slog. It was a slug fest between these two. And I think that that vibe continues.
Yeah, I don't know if we can get the statistic pulled up, but we had the leaderboard early on, and there's a part of that statistic that I want to highlight right now. If we can just jump over just to the leaderboards and the round. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So I want you to look at St. John's at their round differential. Going into today, 56 to 55 on a 1-3 record. They still had a positive round differential compared to their counterpart of SIUE Red, where they are negative 14 in the round count. That is a huge indicator to how close St. John's keeps it. And even though they're 4-6 on their maps, that means they could have easily they won their maps very decisively and kept theirs the ones they've lost very close in comparison to Murray's 28 round differential. It's a very interesting stat to look at right now, and it demonstrates a lot of the potential for St. John's. They just need to make sure that they are finishing those matches and finishing up.
Yeah, and the round differential not favored by that last one, right? Only 2 rounds there
Mhm.
separating them, and I mean, it was close. We were just saying here in the booth before we jump back in, everything was kinda coming down to the wire, right? Like, they were going the distance on pretty much all of those rounds. Nothing was ending quickly, which is sometimes the theme that we see, and usually in these more slugfest-oriented matches, we do get to the point where teams are kind of taking it all the way, right? They're playing it very close to the vest, and you've got a couple of 1v1 scenarios in there. You've got some just really tense end round scenarios. And that is also, I think, something worth noting. It's just draining on players. Like it is actually taxing. It's getting later, right? If you're an East Coast school, it's getting later. And that's something that will probably become more apparent here as these rounds carry on.
Yeah, I looked over to my left, I saw my clock, and I'm like, hey, I got some papers I gotta do. It's getting late. Better down and end their energy drink and just get right on to it. But we have another great matchup in the form of Villa, and we'll be hopping in any moment here. Murray State, once again, statistically favored to win, but I would not count Murray State is the logos are swapped. They're just messed with my mind. But Murray State is favored to win here. St. John's, on the other hand, is fighting and does have a lot of potential going into this. So leading with their map advantage. Any speculations for the band phase, Corbic?
Uh, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's probably gonna be something like probably a Thatcher again, honestly. I mean, that's not necessarily guaranteed, but, like, I just feel they seem very comfortable with those kind of bands, so we'll take a look in here and see what they do. No, it's gonna be Jackal. Okay,
Boo!
that's a fair ban, though. I mean,
Boring.
that's a
It is
very,
fair.
very standard ban, I think, right there, right? Like, to see the Jackal taken off the board. He's a good operator. You don't wanna deal with him. You wanna have the ability to roam kind of, unhindered, as it were.
Yeah, and second one probably gonna be the Thatcher. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is very boring, but then again, the big variation that we saw, Zombie Mira banned both of the last map, and those are two, once again, viable bans for Villa, but I think there are better ones. We could see the Kaid taken off the board from Murray State, who don't want to deal with any of those electro claws, but all down to, yeah, Mira. I think we could see a repeat as I don't think any of the teams are complaining about the meta that was set by the 4 operators banned previously.
No, I don't think so either. And I wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw Zombie go here as well, just to round it out and have the same ban phase that we had last time.
Uh,
No,
oh,
Kaid.
wait, what?
Hmm. That's an interesting choice, especially because St. John was the ones that were playing around with the funky Kaid combos. So
Yeah.
removing Kaid from the board, not a bad choice. I mean, I'm definitely not going to be like you should not have done that. It's an interesting choice though. I'd put it firmly in the category of that's a non-traditional operator ban in a lot of contexts.
That opens up the realm to taking Cali.
Yes.
Um, I'm trying to think of the major implications, and
Well,
that's like
mostly
the
it's about hard breach denial, right? Like if you're gonna play a
yeah.
hard breach denial operator now, your choice really comes down to bandit or sort of the sort of halfway measure of mute, who used to be an effective hard breach denial operator. That is no longer the case, so you cannot get that maximum value out of him. In this case, it looks like they've chosen to go with the mute, right? They're gonna play Winged Hussar on the mute. I assume he's gonna slap down jammers on those two walls,
Perhaps not.
and play off of that.
The mute setup here, I believe, is mainly favoring to make sure that vault stays closed as long as possible.
Yes.
And a play, I love opening a wall inside of planes because you can hopefully use that angle to properly hold as a defender and use it against the attackers. Lo and behold, that isn't always the case, and sometimes teams will forget that angle exists and run out into it, making themselves even more vulnerable. Once again, to highlight that St. John's is the team starting on defense, and previously we saw Unstoppable go absolutely crazy in the previous map of being able to shut down Murray State's pushes all through a absolute havoc wrecked on the roam.
Right. Yeah. Taking a quick look here at how they're going to play this. Interesting to have Magic Comic on the peak. I mean, it's not the worst decision ever. Obviously, the Doc with the ability to heal himself is an advantageous thing. Swan actually playing more of that sort of aggressive Pathfinder position, just walks face first, though, into the gun of Magic Comic. And we were talking at the start of this, Banks, about droning and how important droning is. And that's I think a classic example right there of when you actually need the drone. DNA plays there, not able to take full advantage of their Brava drone either. The Kluge not coming in. Dual Shocks there, catches Wing Tassar looking though for the first kill. Now though, you do kind of wonder with the way that things have been droned, do they have an idea of where Unstoppable is, and is he going to be able to capitalize on it? Well, now they know. So there's the answer to that
Answered that one quite quickly. Magic able to find Monty, moving the man count favoring St. John's. They just have to hold on. They've spotted out Case as well. DualShock is going to be closing out onto Classic Hall, looking towards Red Stairs. Unstoppables made their way on over into the study area, and I'm quite curious to see if they decide to hold that or leave it. You are also going to have St. John's just I like that they're playing slow. I'm scared. It all comes down to how well Murray State is able to refrag and collect a potential frag. They won't be able to find it. Flanked from multiple different angles. Dual Shock able to find one. Looking for a second one. Flash will be detonated on into sight. They are aware of players inside of study, but that was Unstoppable taken out. Case downed inside of planes. Looking for a good route. Beautiful shot from DNA. First Toxic Bait will be detonated with 40 seconds to go. You have two more. That leads to great denial. Magic already has two to their name. Looking to add more to it. Spray out. There goes Sun Tzu. Spray. Triple kill for Magic. They're going to need 4 here. 26 seconds to go. Are they aware of the different angles being held? Spray onto the dock. DNA wins that one out. Murray State takes the first round.
Oh, again, though, we're talking about close rounds. That was a very close round to start us off right here. Just a couple of different positions, and I think that whole thing would have gone, incredibly, incredibly different right there. Oh, wow. Tense stuff at an early stage. I mean, St. John's obviously here to play. The problem for St. John's, though, is they don't want to lose any of these defensive rounds. These defensive rounds are gold dust, right? Because you don't get that advantage ever again. You got to win as many of them as possible. So Murray State coming out here clutching that out in a close situation, that's quite frustrating. I think for St. John's, hopefully something that they can bounce back off of relatively efficiently. Though they are going to go back to the same bomb site. Usually I'm against this, and on Villa usually I'm against this, but I feel like given the way that St. John's played it last time, this is not a terrible call on their end.
Yeah, they did a great job, and the one thing is Murray State is a team of adaptation and overcoming. Same with St. John. So it's a matter of which one of these teams is going to be able to combat each other extremely effectively. Based on the current attacker lineup, I'm going to wait for it to be locked in at 5 seconds, and it does look to be solidified. You do have the IQ and a switch from the Habana to stay as the sole hard breach and ace from Monty over to Lion. Don't know how I feel about that one. You do get the EMP secondaries now. Well, I think there might have been some different options. I'm very interested to see Monty's one route and two how they're going to play around stopping these defenders, because you have all of these mute charges that can just constantly give you a massive disadvantage.
Right, yeah, and that's the big issue. Unstoppable, though, I mean, this is a good operator for these kind of denial operations. It's Winged Hussar, though, who picks up the first kill on a sort of nasty little angle. Mute has been left as the sole defender here. Unfortunately, the reflex is not fast enough there to pick up on Dual Shock with the slow walk around the corner, so they'll keep it at 4-4. Losing the Lion early on, though, genuinely a good thing, right? For the defenders. That's a powerful utility. Beautiful kill from Unstoppable right there with the P90. Hits the bricks as soon as it comes in and just repositions. And this is going pretty well here for the Roamers of St. John's. They've traded out and actually got +1 up on value. So they're doing their job to perfection right here.
Yeah, no need to keep on pushing, gunning for more. If they just go back, hold sight, minute 39, play for the util. We did see, of course, Murray State really bring one back from what seemed like nothing. That could make a big difference. Bravo doing the role of joining their team in, and that is notoriously the support role that you love to see for Habana. St. John's has to hold their man advantage. That is my one condition, and the smoke could be caught out holding their shield, but Sun Tzu does have a great opportunity waiting, spraying. They don't know if there is going to be an ADS covering it. Nade being cooked out, being shot through the drone hole now. Very, very creative from Cosmic, doing a lot of great work. Spraying out Ayana, now losing half of their HP. Sun Tzu will be downed. Meanwhile, Unstoppable is going to find a frag onto DNA, and there's Doc going to be able to pick Sun Tzu right back up in the sight, all the way up to their full amount of health. Wow. 45 seconds to go, and all that advantage that you thought you gained has just trickled right out of your hands. Holding angles that they think they can hold. Dank lit up. The retina's hurting as well as ours. Meanwhile, Dual Shock will collect onto the kill. Swinging around into study, looking for souls. Not able to find us. Unstoppable is on a absolute ringer. 3 kills to the name on the round. Bravo's Skyros pellets jammed out on the vault, looking to find the Solus or possibly give Unstoppable a 4th kill. Very debatable, but 15 seconds to go. This round has gone exactly the way St. John's has anticipated. Great use of all the utility they have on the board, and just waiting for a good opportunity. Flash being cooked out, spray out from the Dock of Cosmic. Spray, spray, spray. Not enough to go to their name, and Unstoppable to collect 4.
The screen went black. He killed him so hard, he banished him. Oh, God.
He didn't deserve it.
He's gone. He's just gone. Wild. Again, a pretty good round there from St. John's, and they do demonstrate this capacity to sort of snap back into fashion when they need to. At times, I mean, I got to give them credit. Like, that was really well executed. I think the big popular movement there for me, or the thing that I would be most proud of if I was sitting on their side, was how well that early round roam play went, right? Like, they had their target, they sort of shoved them back. They got some of those early kills, collected them, slowed everything down on the side of Murray State, and I think really pushed them into an unwinnable, uncharitable position at a very, very early stage. So good on them for that. Now you're going over to Trophy Statuary, and depending on how Murray State takes this attack, I don't think your roamers can really make as much of a difference. In fact, if I was on the side of Murray State, I probably would kind of not even bother doing the whole clear in through far side coming through Aviator Games, I honestly would just apply pressure directly to the bomb site. But they're clearly setting up for something like that, right? Unstoppable is over there. They've got the Valkyrie there as well. So they know what they're looking for, or what I think they expect to see. And sure enough, some members of Murray State are set over there for that push.
Yeah, I don't really like you don't need this forced extension. Or sorry, a forced push towards the extension. The extension is great from St. John's. One thing I want to introduce is we saw a lot of verticality in the first attacking round ever that we saw on Oregon, where Murray State did a lot of verticality with the Ash down below. Of course, you don't have any of those type of breaching charges available, but you do have Bravo with those nades, and I would have loved to see that they go down below. Sometimes these rounds just write themselves as Bravo gets their first kill onto Unstoppable using one of the things that Souls can't track, which is going to be grenades. And that forces Wings to rotate a lot farther back as their top frag comrade is now down and relegated to the bench.
Yeah, this is bad news bears, because I was just hyping up how effective those roamers were, and then that happens. And now you lose Wing Kassar as well, so your entire roam presence is taken off the board. And I mean, okay, proved me wrong here, Murray State. I said that they should just go as direct as possible. Instead, they go for the long route, and it pays dividends right here for them. Magic Comic falling back right there, forced to reload. Another frag grenade coming in. Great kill from Sun Tzu. The flash does go off, but there's not room to capitalize. Now Monty Poncho stepping in. There's the shot across from Magic Comet, who's still very much in it. Out, coming with the shotgun.
Why?
Fires 2 shots, won't find the kill. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Those shotgun pellet spreads are so unfair. Magic Comet there polishing one off. Magic Comet nearly getting 2. He's got 13 bullets left in the gun. No way he can reload in this situation. Unfortunately, the shield not to his advantage. About a minute left on the clock. A pair of 1v1. It doesn't get any better than this here in Rainbow Six Siege. On a sliver of health, Magic Comet, is he going to go for it? He does, and he secures it. St. John's, a beautiful play by Magic Comic there to win out the day.
That all comes down to giving them the one. You can't get, you have a 2v1 off of St. John's giving you the man advantage and off the round. Wow. If you're in the shoes of Murray State, it's right after the other. You have to go 1-2 at the exact same, even if you're spraying, even if you're distracting. You have to pull their attention away. And that's a great play from Comic to just isolate the 1v1. After 1v1 to win out a huge round for St. John's and to give them what I think for the first time in this series, a round advantage.
I do believe, yes, you're correct. First time in the series with the round advantage. Way to go, St. John's. I mean, great bit of play right there by Magic Comic, who honestly was pinned in that corner with low health for the last minute of that round and just making plays the entire time, and a well-deserved 7-1 scoreline there for the player now on the dock. As we go down to the tertiary bomb site, Murray State, no guesses what they were going to want to do in this situation, though. Just looking at the fuse setting up right there. Interesting, though, I will say, they're choosing Buck over Sledge. Always an interesting choice to see who gets the favorite pick. Unstoppable, busy installing these captain traps at various heights and levels to just cause maximum pain, as you do. We'll see if any of them. Come up trumps. Every once in a while, a Capkin trap gets hit, and it's just like, oh, that's unfortunate. So we'll see if that occurs. No, Unstoppable dies first for another round. I think he was trying to go for a peek. I'm not certain though. That was a very unfortunate early death. Twice in a row now for last map's top fragger for the St. John side.
Yeah, Comic is really stepping up, though, looking for their frag. They'll get the first one on the round. Looking for a second. Ooh! Oh, not going to find it, but Wing does find the kill onto Suwon. So that is player advantage, then refragged by Murray State. And that's still a lot of players up above, as DualShock isn't even going for the verticality that we expect from the Buck. And it's just going to be an all-out commit, as Magic has to rotate back rather soon, as rotating and holding up above is not paying dividends. Smart rotate from the Buck to go right on out of there. The pressure onto this site has already been applied. Minute 15 Laundry wall opened up, the magnification favoring the attackers. This round really picked up in a time we did not expect it. Looking for the dock, spray out. They are a tank. They're going to take a lot of that damage. They still have one stim remaining. Interesting to see if they will use it on themselves. They will, healing all the way back up to full health. And with a minute 33 to go, Murray State evens things out 1-3, but have expended a lot of utility, losing both Bravo as well as Suwon, two players that would heavily favor the verticality.
Okay. Dual shot here opening up a dangerous angle, but I mean, you're late in the round to be playing sort of these games. That said, I mean, those two defenders pinned up in there. That's Dank Memento and Winged Hussar. That's just a flash grenade. That'll actually force movement right there from Magic Comet, who survives. Can't able to heal himself, though. That's the only downside. This angle starting to pay some dividends here for Dual Shot, continuing to hold it very aggressively. Dank Memento, I think, just begging for it all to end right there. Doesn't want to be caught up in it. DNA now trying to challenge here onto Winged Hussar. Winged Hussar might make the first move, and instead DNA backs up, whips out a Rotero. Interesting choice.
This is huge. You get it into the corner. Both these players would have been forced, but no, it's going to be shut down. There's still one more in the pocket if they can get it in properly. Great kill from DualShock. Wing Hussar able to find their frag. There's a triple kill for DualShock as they'll be able to find them. All left up to Wing. 3 and 3 in the 1v1, going over the top frag of DualShock. They have one flashbang left. We don't know if there's an ADS setup. We can hear them, and it's hard for them to play a little bit farther back. Spraying over with that SMG-11. It's hard. You have to hit the head, but no, there's DualShock with a 4K to give Murray State the win on the tertiary bomb site and even things out 2-2 while they're on the Villa offense.
Oh, what a great bit of play there by DualShock, keeping the composure, playing that so well. I was a little bit doubtful about that angle, honestly, when he opened it up initially, but man, did he make that work. I mean, did he play off of that so well, Binks? I mean, he really knew exactly what he was doing from that position and just kept that fire up consistently. Really, really just well done up until the bitter end. Rough for St. John's because I feel like they, did okay, but the critical mistake that they made right there was allowing themselves to trap, 2/3 of their defensive effort in one corner. And you can't be making positional errors like that. I don't know exactly how that situation developed, but that was the positional error that sort of doomed them overall. Back we go now here to AVG, and this is a situation, again, St. John's wants a 4-2, right? Like, that's the ideal. You need, I dare say you need that probably to keep up your life expectancy in this match. I mean, I don't know how they're going to look on the attack, but we can assume that the Murray State defense is going to be absolutely vicious here. So we're getting to the point now where you got to win every single round. You got to win these last 2 rounds to hold this together.
5 seconds to go.
Yeah, because we look at it in the way that, okay, Murray State gets 2 more rounds, or sorry, 1 more round. They make it a 3-3 split. They win 2 of their sites. There's 5. And then they have the opportunity to go back to those sites in their half. And it just, I think that's why we get that sense of favoring Villa. And see, just these 2 upstairs sites are probably 2 of the most favored and most comfortable in the game, but we cannot forget there are so many countless ways to attack this site, and we were once again seeing a very extensive extension by the defenders, and it worked out last time. But we also have to remember that some of these players sorry, I don't know why an EMP was chucked at the window. That some of these players weren't able to hold on. St. John's has lost this site in the past, and that could be subject to repeat, as Unstoppable has been alive. They are still 6 and 3 as they were able to claim a frag from the grave last time. I got to admit, Korvik, I am scared for both these teams because it's these early moments, these early frags that have often led to monumental decisions that come into play later in the round.
It's true. Unstoppable so deep down in the basement again. Hopefully not going to be the first death this time. He's always been in these positions where he can make something happen off these angles. It's just been rare that it's actually come through. Very horizontally oriented attack here from the members of Murray State. There's a pre-planted, I assume, C4 going off, and that's half health for 2 members. Huh? Oh, WMD. Thank you. for Swan and DNA plays, both of them getting hit right there early on. And Unstoppable, I mean, anytime he wants to work his way back in, I think he's clear. I don't think they have any idea that there's a Capkin waiting down there, but it'll be Wing Tassar who steps into the breach first, and he gets caught on the table, so he's only able to get the trade and not get away with his life.
It doesn't matter. They were able to collect onto the Habana. That's a huge pick. DNA the next to fall as Unstoppable's alive for the round, going for their flank. Monty gets the refrag, so 3-3-2 on site, but they might not know it. It is good that they have the double hard breach. Jaeger swinging out from Bar, trying to find a pick. Meanwhile, the Capcans down below, hoping for a safe route up. You have to keep in mind that they did not take the... Oh, they do have the Nomad. Just losing my mind briefly, or all the time, but Dual Shot clearly hasn't, as they are continuing to slap headshot after headshot. Down goes Sun Tzu, and now Unstoppable made their way up from red. Dank able to find their frag inside a landing. This is a great flank from Unstoppable and makes a very winnable round for the defenders. In through Bar, looking for the Jaeger. They hear the reload, and there they get their frag. Down goes Dank. In through Vault. Do they have the Vault Q? That's the question. Unstoppable spraying, able to find one off the plant. They jump out towards hallway. 3 seconds to go. They now have to stick. Beautiful play by the Capcan of Unstoppable, and that's going to guarantee a third round win for St. John's.
Unstoppable did exactly what they needed to do. Little lucky he didn't get caught on the split angle right there when he jumped into games, but hey, I'm not gonna say he should have taken the risk right there. Caught the Nomad looking, held the Osa off, or to the point where there wasn't a lot that could be done except, you know, die or plant, or plant and die. But really well done by really well done by St. John's on the defense. Again, I keep saying it, Pink. So they've got these moments. I'm genuinely surprised that it's not a like round 9, like they're a rank 9 team. Like, it actually kind of surprised me. They haven't been playing that bad against a squad that is really quite good in and of itself. They've been showing up here tonight.
They really have, and I love to see it. They're forcing Murray State to really contend, and I don't know if it's going to be enough to win out the matchup, but it is enough to prove, in my books at least, in my notes, that they are not a bottom tier team. They don't belong at the bottom of the leaderboard where they have a massive round differential. They have been faced with a lot of unfortunate scenarios. And I think that as we move through the season, as they start to have more opportunities to play different teams, we should hopefully see them climb in the rankings. I hope to see this team qualify for playoffs. Because they do have a good chance of going far, as proven in this game, these little micro adaptations. Now with the final round and a half, this gives St. John's a very much needed opportunity to secure that 4-2 and give them a fighting chance in the second half.
A fighting chance. That's what they need. They just need a 4-2. They need a 2-round cushion. They can get the 2-round cushion, I believe. And please, Wing Tassar, don't die as soon as I say I believed. Because that would have been really, really unfortunate timing.
I would have blamed you.
Ah, dang it.
It's your fault.
Ah, fiddlesticks.
There's a reason you're not on the leaderboard. You'd be the most negative there.
Oh, no.
Throwing every round away. Wing to fall. In all honesty, that extension works when you have someone holding the crossfire, and it's a very big gamble. We have the pings coming out. Nobody's there. That could be a pre-place, and you're going to have the Valkyrie of Wings now on the camera, waiting just to call out. They're there, below it. I'm interested to see if that does happen. You do have the scan. They might be able to spot out this C4 before it even goes out. You see the pings from the attackers. They know that it's there. Rotero drone could detonate on top of it. I hope to see it, as they are going to go somewhere else. Unstoppable still with the C4. Comic able to find one. Bravo also finding a frag of their own. There's absolute chaos erupting, as I just had a brief freeze as Sun Tzu will go down inside of Trophy. DNA with a huge frag. Spray out from Unstoppable, playing by the deer. It's going to be Dank also to find a kill onto Suwon. Even out 2-2. Round could go either way. It's going to come down to how well will Murray State isolate these frags. These two defenders are on opposite sites. You're going to have to play into that. Otherwise, St. John's is going to have a very solid ability. Rotero drone being cooked in, forcing the Mozzie back. You're caught in the blast fire. These players now both lit up to a dangerous amount of HP, but we can't forget the Monty got the final frag onto the remaining defender of Unstoppable Spray out as DNA finds the frag, and we have a 3-3 split, and this is a huge win for Murray State.
That's a very important win for Murray State. No round advantage. No round advantage for the defenders right there. St. John's has to transfer over to the attacking side, and unfortunate, got stuck on a wall. Oh boy, I got stuck on a wall. Unfortunate. It happens. It was a good effort. I liked the bit of play with the Unstoppable right there, where they rolled that Rotero out. They sort of tried to force him out of position. He did jump, straight into that. I think he was just too concerned that he was going to get caught out. But I mean, again, it's good effort all around there from the Murray State defenders or from the Murray State attackers and from St. John defenders. A well played round by both sides. Very exciting conclusion right there. Really took off. Resetting the board. Side swap coming in. Murray State taking over on the defense, and let's see what they've got in store for us. Something that actually looks rather akin to what their opponents were playing. You've got the Mute built into this. You've got the Solus here as well, so some significant roam presence. Very interested to see how St. John's wants to play this out. That's I think, going to be one of the most interesting things about this. Clearly, they have some good preconceived notions about things that they want to do on Villa. It's just, do they, go for the push coming off the balcony? Are they going to be one of the teams that likes to take from this side? Exactly. The fact that Unstoppable is droning over there indicates to me that they might be thinking about it, but, thinking is not commitment. And, oh boy, gonna go for the run out. Oh, didn't work that time. The shots go wide. Unstoppable will not be killed early in this round, Banks.
Oh man, any gun besides the P90, I think. Oh, okay, maybe the C4 toss there would have been beautiful. But I think you're not playing to your operator's ability. Of course, you're throwing your life away to say, oh yeah, they were all there. I saw all of them, and glad they're not doubling down and jumping out windows. And it's a lot of bloodshed favoring the attackers of St. John's, and they easily are going for this roam clear now. I don't know what to think here, Corbic. They've done a great clear, and I'm just not very happy with Murray State's initial push. But winged first of all. First of all from St. John's. Words are hard.
Yeah, good kill by DNA plays, who just continues to be one of the stalwarts of this lineup for Murray State. Dual shot getting caught by the air jab right there, giving away the fact that he's rotating, and we'll have to see now how St. John's wants to adapt to that. They still have not managed to get rid of DNA plays, and as much as I want to sing the praises on the other side of the St. John's roamers, the roamers of Murray State putting in an even better performance here right now. The amount of delay is insane, and now Monty Poncho coming out to get a kill. DNA plays has stopped this entire attack. And the two remaining members of St. John's really at cross purposes right here, getting in 1v2 gun sites, getting absolutely wrecked, and that just leaves Dan Clemento here on the tail end. I don't really know what a solo ace can do in a 1v4. Maybe get one kill out of spite if they're lucky, but that I think is the maximum that they could expect to achieve.
Yeah, it could turn into a tactical timeout. I want to make my point that there's one part of this round that really hindered them. They had the opening frag, but the problem is all 5 players were on the northeastern side of the map. They were looking to hold it out. DNA plays, finishes it with the headshot. We knew that was going to happen. It's all in the script. But you have to go for that 90 window. It's my biggest Villa pet peeve, in all honesty. You leave that window shut. You're giving your defenders a lot of freedom to rotate around. I'm not saying you need to hold it. I'm saying you have someone spawn on the other side of the map that's going to be droning a support player that can just go and sit outside a different window, the trophy window that you can secure next to them. That's very obtainable for the attackers to get, all from one support player opening that window and droning out and instilling a lot of pressure from that side of the map. And I think that that's something I've seen in a lot of recent Villa matches that is really missing. The defenders don't feel the pressure the way that you try to instill on, for example, a second floor bunk attack on Oregon. It's just not the same, and it needs to be picked up.
Yeah, it does. It does need to be picked up. And I mean, it's just frustrating, I think, because St. John's had done pretty well in the defense, and they come into the attacking round, and it's the same kind of issues I think we saw out of them previously, where especially in the mid-round scenario when those roamers were really causing them issues, they just didn't know how to deal with it. Specifically thinking back to DNA plays on the Jaeger holding long corridor down towards the 90. You're right. If they had had somebody in that area, maybe somebody on the window or something, it could have changed the calculations there significantly. But the adaptation just wasn't there. And that's been, I think, the hallmark of the attacks on Oregon as well. So the upside is, it's a good learning opportunity. There's still plenty of room here, I think, for St. John's to have some growth this season and have some learning opportunities, and that's just one of the things they should pick up.
Very well said. 30 seconds into our 8th round of regulation. I like that we have DualShock going for a roam. They've been a very prominent figure of this second map and very much fragging out. And these two teams have felt very balanced throughout this matchup. And it all comes down to how well they are able to drone out and clear DNA first to be spotted. And I'm left with a little bit more questions than answers right now with how they intend to push. And when there's a question, there often is going to be an eventual answer. And I find it in the form of that nade. Bravo not to fall to it. And these 3 roaming figures of Murray State still allowed to stay alive well over a minute into this round is cause for concern. Bravo, you are a tiny bit of HP. You're going to do not even your body's weight amount, but nope, they're going to swing around. There's the headshot they're looking for. Side to side, you have to hold the cross angle with your teammate. And there's the 90.
Hey, there it is.
Oh, man, that makes me feel great on the inside, but a little bit too little too late as it's 3-3, a minute 26. You still have Bravo on this roam. Sunzu slowly making their way up from main stairs, looking for the player, but Bravo on an absolute huge round. Triple kill for them as Study has still not fallen to control the attackers. Monty there wants to get a frag of their own. Finally, Suwon is also going to get taken down by Unstoppable, the remaining attacker in a 1v2, a very winnable 1v2 if they play their cards right, isolate these 1v1s, making their way towards site. Valkyrie Cam might have a ping on them into statue, into a default plant spot. Do they know? No, Monty's on the other side. Plant will be successful.
No.
They know exactly where the plant goes. They know where to look for the player. Spray through from Unstoppable from 2 multiple angles. Down goes Bravo. They know it. No! It's going to be the shot from Monty from the other side, and they can even go for the res if they want, confirming their kill with the deagle. I respect that. I really respect letting Unstoppable stay alive for that round. They played a very good round, and Unstoppable, great attempt. You have to close off these angles though, St. John's. Otherwise, it's going to slip away from you.
Again, it was not badly played by St. John's, considering where we're at. It was not badly done. It's just unfortunate. There always seems to be 1 or 2 of these enemy defenders on the side of Murray State who just have the touch. And in that round, it was completely, it was all on Bravo. I think he was playing that soulless. Just looked, perfectly in touch with what they needed to do right there, and were happy to just kind of cause maximum havoc. It was them who run the round by using the intel properly to shut down to pick up on the plant location. I mean, it's all kind of manifesting as I thought it would to a certain extent here, Binks.
Yeah.
I did say I felt like the turn on the attack was going to come, and then the defender or the St. John's was just not going to be able to put together effective enough attacks. And that does kind of seem to be what's happening here, for better or for worse.
But still very close rounds, still obtainable by St. John's. I'm curious to see how this tertiary bomb site will go. I'm expecting Murray State to play it in a very explosive way with the Valkyrie. We could even see a Pulse or Souls. There's the Capcan for more explosives. Another trap operator by DualShock. I think they're not necessarily planning to stop a lot of this vertical aggression or even horizontal plays. They're just trying to use the information they can obtain and play for the frags, the extension that they have now become so notorious for on this site. And if I had to make a bet on this round, I can see St. John's making their way towards site, but it is going to be the traps in the amount of utility they're able to commit to it. Unless St. John's is able to just shut it down, drone it, and shoot it, that is going to be the bane of their existence in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame to see St. John's kind of gets taken out here on the 4 and 7 because they or like a 3 and 7 even I guess is in the picture because they've just they've been playing a good game here tonight. That round, I don't even know if it was really mid-round adaptations that kind of caught them out. I just feel like some of the times they enter into these attacks and it's hard to determine exactly what the plan is, like what they're playing towards. Um, Again, I think a lot of these problems that they've been having are eminently fixable. I don't think it's an issue where they're stuck with these issues and this is just how the team is. But it is just something that you can't change over the course of this game, right? Like it's just not going to happen on the fly. In any given round, I will say, Binks, I think in any given round, St. John's can step out, and on a tertiary bomb site, you're not going to get much better opportunities than that, right?
Yeah. Slow and steady from St. John's, droning out. We did see previously that they had a little bit of trouble maintaining their drones last map. Quite the opposite. They've only lost one. Souls is not on the board, so that could be playing into it. There's also no mute. This plethora of information could turn the tide. Unstoppable just waiting in mudroom for someone to possibly push in and rotate back through pantry. A late round barricade even up above. This is a very interesting push, and it's a matter of drone clear, drone clear. The problem is no one's pushing right behind these drones, and that could lead to a little bit of devastation in the long run. Flores drone also being sent out. Corvic, this is a lot of utility being detonated before you get to site, but it seems well conserved, and a lot of these angles could go both ways as this buck goes up above, or sorry, not the buck, the frost up above can rotate to hold from trophy, and that changes a lot of different things. The Flores will die to the frost as there's the angle we were talking about, but not even in the way we were expecting. That is a beautiful hole opened up by the super shorty. Unstoppable will find one, but this refrag from Bravo playing on the cap can now 3-4 favoring the defenders as we're gonna have Dank make their way into sight. They have to try to find something. That won't happen. Sun Tzu stuck on the rappel outside of Astro. They have not been able to find the frost. Swing around dual shock to collect their frag. Murray State move on to match point.
Well, I mean, it do sometimes be like that, though. And I will say, this is kind of what I was hinting at earlier in the match, when there was like a big slowdown, like there's the slowdown in terms of, you've been playing for a long time. The rounds have all been running out. It gets kind of tiring. I think we might be seeing St. John's kind of reaching the point, right, where they're not so capable of matching the tempo anymore. And I think that's just sort of where we're at, if I had to guess. And it happens. We see it happen all the time in these collegiate matches, and it's not a problematic thing, and it's pretty normal. But there always seems to be sort of a point where the wheels just sort of start to come off, and I think that's where right. Like the decision making on that last map, not particularly spectacular. St. John's not able to kind of put the stick in that they had on some of the other rounds. And now you're on match point and you're coming into this with Dank Memento on a Montaigne. I mean,
match point Monty. That's all it is.
Match point Monty. You're rolling the dice on that one, and that's the most I'll say about that without being uncharitable.
Yeah, I think the Montaigne can work. The OSA has been taken in the past, and I find that a lot more favorable. We don't have that Monty rework where you can throw down your shield just yet, so we'll see how exactly that comes into play. Time ticking away on what could be our final round in this matchup. We can take a great look at our new UI, which we haven't talked about quite yet, where you have your can openers, claymores, flashes, and grenades galore. And you can show exactly how they were used. If they died with them, it will be an X. If they were thrown, it will be a circle. And you can see that through the reinforcements. 2 remaining for the attackers and the deployable shield, and 1 proxy mine being deployed. The second one still in pocket. Not sure what the plan is there, but great opportunity to just look at the util expended. And Montaigne being the first to take point is going to be Dank. Trying to find an entry, but I don't see a clear narrative. And please tell me that we are going to see the 90 possibility. Dank is already at the door.
Oh man, I mean, here's the thing. I like Montaigne. I actually
I
think
do.
Montaigne is great. Montaigne can totally work, and I think if you actually talk about siege operators who are probably close to things that happen in the real life, Montaigne is not out of pocket. What a frag grenade! Speaking of out of pocket, unstoppable precision throw. Get that man an NFL contract right now. That was insane. And Dank Pimento, I don't know if they're being useful or if they're just being a distraction, but they are there and they are Montaigne, and I am okay with that.
It's just mega. I am here.
Yeah.
Welcome
I
me.
don't
I'm here.
know why I'm here. I don't know who I am. All I know is my purpose is to hold up the shield.
Yeah, just swinging around. Montaigne's gonna take a couple of bullets. Great job. But with a minute 50 and things are ticking down. Unstoppable with 2. Wow. It's going to be Suwon to use the SMG-11 to connect onto Comic. No more EE1D scans. Wing to collect their frag onto Dual Shock. It's going to come down to DNA and Suwon to have to hold this down. They hear the Montang on the 90 corridor. Meanwhile, these players at St. John's are looking to make their way into sight. Droned out, they know Suwon's inside of 90. Winged is going to go for the Claymore. No pushing into Study undetected. And there's the air jab on the stairs. This is a great setup from St. John's, and it's going to take a lot for them to lose it, especially with this Montang. You have the C4 ready. Whether or not they are going to look for this Montang. Swinging out on a Mossberg there would not be advised. There's the Ayana spray. Unstoppable collects 3. That's the first time they use the gun. Wing from the other side is going to spray into Study, and that's going to be a round win for St. John's. We're 6-4 and still got a fighting chance.
I told you, any given round, St. John's is able to battle back. That's what they did right there. Match point Monty and all. Now, I think I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that our observer said that this was going to be a 7-4, 7-5. And we are very close. We got a 7-5 round one. He might have gotten the order wrong. He's got a 7-5 round, map 1. Are we going to see a 7-4 map 2, Binks? That's the real question right here. Is unnamed going to be validated in his analysis?
I think unnamed has called these very well.
He usually does.
And I think us speaking it is going to make it not happen.
Okay.
And I think because we're reattempting a site, I hate it. I hate reattempting sites, especially when the other one is available. But then again, the hold of second floor statue and trophy room came largely from being able to hold down the extension. So I think that if these players genuinely on the side of Murray State play for the site and play for this denial rather than giving them free nade kills and a lot of information, Unstoppable really opened that round up in an explosive way of denying a lot of the capabilities and those preset angles that were being set up by Murray State.
Well, I mean, Murray State, the better team, I would say, overall on the night. So them going back to the same bomb site, I don't know if it's the worst choice. It's taking the same gamble that St. John's took, if I remember correctly, when they started on the defensive half. We still have Dank Memento here playing the Montaigne. Complete side swap, though, this time. Instead of going directly into balcony, they're going to go the long way. And come at this from over on the master bedroom trophy side. Presumably with Dank Memento in the lead. They're doing a little bit of droning here, I think, to give themselves an idea if there are any roamers setting up on this side. And honestly, not really. Murray State did not kick much out, so they've got to sort of start making their way in here. The longer they delay, the more problematic this gets. Monty Poncho, I think, is the only person who's in a position to really threaten this, and they have the tools to handle it if they so choose. Again, it's just a matter of speed. It's also perhaps a matter of getting Unstoppable into a position, Banks, where they can actually go ahead and just get some clean kills. I think that would be really valuable for them right here.
Yeah, Sun has played a big role in this game. There's the drone.
Wow.
The opening kill is going to go the way of DNA, taking out the top frag of Unstoppable, who could be finishing this game with a 2.0 KD. Comic to refrag onto DNA. No more kills or flanking potential for that Oryx. Meanwhile, in trophy entrance, the Valkyrie of Monty sitting back, idly waiting. Match point Monty and the side of Dank still being selected in this Legion pick, doing absolutely great. Now just playing around, waiting for a great opportunity. Monty to frag the frag onto Magic. The Montang swinging out, not able to locate this Valkyrie initially, as the man advantage still going the way of Murray State to these players. You have to keep in mind the Montang does not readily have a gun available, and that's going to be a trade. Monty and Wing taking each other out. That is huge, as Montang's now lit up to 10 HP. Sun Tzu gonna have to come up huge on this ace as they hit another goo mine. 4-6. It's match point. They have a lot to accomplish here. 50 seconds. These frags are not unobtainable, but the Montang being so very low, the entry denial of this lesion of the Goyo could be absolutely huge. C4 cooked out on the Montang. He has to throw down the shield. Down goes Dank. C4 detonated. Sun Tzu last live, pushing the site, looking for the frag, not able to find it, and that's gonna be Murray State winning this matchup and making our predictions from unnamed come right on into fruition. And that's I'm going to tip my hat for that one, and I tip my hat to Murray State, but most importantly St. John's, who although are sitting at the bottom of the leaderboard, have proven in this matchup to be real contenders.
Yeah, it was a fight from them. Like straight up, Banksy. Credit where credit is due. It was a fight from St. John's. It never felt like they were getting walked over here tonight. They always felt like they had a dog in it. Like I said, any given round, they were able to sort of snap into place. They had some great individual plays, but at the end of the day, Murray State Gold. They knew their business. They knew what they had to get done. They played exceptionally well. They had the players in position, they had the plays, they had the coordination, they had the intel. I think those are the things that really carried them through today. They just look like such a composed team here tonight.
All right, so the things that I really want to highlight quickly for St. John's is going back and looking at this VOD. I always like to highlight 3 things that I would want these teams to look at. I want you to look at these crutch angles, and they aren't necessarily crutch angles. It's such that there's a better way for you to deal with them if you think about them early on in the round. First of all, 90 is one that really comes to mind for me. There's a lot of players just constantly able to hold that angle. You go and you prep a nade and throw it there, or you take any operator and open up that barricade and make noise around it. That can make a big difference in the round, and just little micro adaptations to where your support is coming in on the attack on Villa. Huge difference maker there. On the side of Oregon, I like to see the verticality, but you have to make sure that when you're maintaining that verticality and going for a pinch push onto that second floor site, make sure the same thing, those windows, that pressure, and that was beautifully executed by Murray in their first round of offense, but it wasn't continued throughout, and I could sort of see more of a deterioration. Of course, it's 10:28 Eastern Standard Time, and that could be playing a large role into it. And my third and final things, and it did pick up, but keeping those drones alive and a clear plan of action. The backup to the backup, as you mentioned, great thing as an IGL to have going in the back of your mind, saying, okay, I want to maybe try this, and if not, we always have this available. But that's all I got on this matchup.
That's fair. Good assessment right there. I think to wrap things up on, and the drone economy, that was one thing, we didn't mention very much, Binks, but you saw Solus. I think it was Bravo who's playing the Solus, did so much work destroying those drones right in the early round that it was really they knew the spots to put them in, and Solus was able to find them and take them out. So it's a good point that you brought that up there at the end. But still, an enjoyable match from these two teams. Unfortunately, that's going to bring it to an end here for us tonight on this NECC Channel A. Thank you so much for joining us. A big thank you, of course, to our producer and to our observer in his correct predictions of how the match was going to go. And of course, thank you, Binks, for joining me here in the broadcast booth. And finally, from all of us here at the NECC, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful evening.